Wow!
Hey, we're back.
One more time. I think we're in the right house now.
Sorry about that, guys. We were on the wrong account. So
Yes.
our apologies.
All right. So glad you have joined. Maestro is in the house. He's there.
Hey,
He's
you're
there
waiting for us,
already.
Maestro. We're coming.
Yes,
We're coming, man.
yes.
We're coming.
So thank you so very much. And we had just started to send our gratitude for everyone joining. And now that we're in the right place, I think we have more people with us. So thank you.
But we want to say again, if you guys missed last week, if you missed Rob Bass, please check it out because he was phenomenal and he's a great guy.
Yeah, just so humble as you were saying.
Yeah, very humble. Very humble.
Yeah, just so wow.
Yeah, so do you have any words for everybody before we jump in and get going?
I sure do. Let's welcome Maestro!
We're going to try to get our guest on now. He is waiting for us.
Oh, my goodness.
There's lots to talk about.
Yes. Bless up. Yes. Oh! So good to see you. Oh, my goodness.
What's happening?
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. You guys can hear me? Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yes. And
sounding good? How you guys been?
Hey, man, we can't complain. You know what? We're blessed.
Yes.
We're blessed.
Yes.
In spite of everything, we're blessed.
No question about it. And thankful. Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know what? A wise person once told me, I don't know if you know him, his name is Pinball Clemens. He said, it's not the dog that's in the fight, but it's the fight that's in the dog.
All right.
So, Maestro, thank you so much for just taking time out to chat with us this evening. And right off the top, we just want to know how you're doing. How have you been coping with COVID-19 and being, basically locked down for what, 4 months now? Is it really 4 months now?
It's a little while.
It's been a while.
Yes,
so just, let us know how you've been doing with all of this.
Yes.
I gotta say, extraordinary people will always have extraordinary challenges, right? And we're in some extraordinary times right now. But guess what? We're some extraordinary people, right? So I've been blessed, man. Thank the Most High, man. I just I did my first concert, my first live concert. I was in Edmonton, man. You see how God worked? It's like my family, we got family out in Calgary, right? So my son and his moms, they went out there for like 4 weeks just to get away, just different pace because, they're reopening things a lot faster over there than Toronto. No problem. But guess how God worked? Out of nowhere, I booked a show in Edmonton, brethren. I just booked this show. I did my first concert, my first live concert. And of all weekends for it to be on, it was Father's Day weekend. So my son didn't know I was coming. That was a surprise because they left Calgary, they pulled up. Next thing he felt somebody breathing on the back of him. He turned around and it's like, hey, Dad. I said, yo, how you doing, man? And for all weekends for that show to be, for me to book my very first show of the year was on Father's Day weekend, So it was a blessing. So that's God doing his work, man. That's the big man doing his big work, right? So I've been blessed. The show was awesome. But here's the thing, though. You got to stay in your cars.
Oh.
So I'm performing. I know, watch this. I'm performing, but people got to be in their cars. It's a drive-in. So backbones were sliding at the drive-in. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So people were in cars, right? Now, it feels great to have people having cars honk at you, and it's not road rage. They're happy to see you.
Yes. Yes.
It threw me off a bit at first because I'm like, do they like me? Do they not? Oh, no, I see some hands waving. Okay, they kind of like me. That's kind of cool. Yeah. So I'm going to do, God willing, I'll be doing more of those, man, And I thank Edmonton for having me. And that's going to be the template for a lot of other shows like that within the next little while. God willing, I'll be doing like at least 5 to 7 more of those throughout the next few months, So But overall, is it tough? Yeah, it's different, man. It's a whole different ball game, man. It's a whole different thing. But what do you do? Do you like submit and just like bow down, or do we stand up and we keep fighting? Because like you said, it's not a dog in the fight; it's a fight in the dog, man. So I'm gonna keep doing my thing, and hopefully we'll continue doing more shows like that, and hopefully that could be an encouragement for more artists to have that happen. You know.
Look at you, Maestro. You're setting the path again. Like you started out as
Yes.
the godfather
Yes.
of hip hop,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And now you're setting.
Well, it's better than the grandfather.
Yes.
I'd rather them call me the godfather than the grandfather. You know what I'm saying? Because if they start calling me the grandfather, I'm gonna have to bring in my beard like you, Mike. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to bring it.
I tell you what, you still,
Well, you looking good. You looking good.
yes. What you using? Oil of Olay?
You looking great, homie.
No,
but you know, thank you though, Dan. It's great to continue being you know, a trailblazer in one capacity or the other. So it was awesome, and I thank them for having me. So
good. So, two questions in one. Biggest challenge during this time, right? And then the other side of it, what have you enjoyed, and what would you like to keep after this period is over?
Post-COVID.
the biggest challenge was just trying to be upbeat for my family. That was a challenge because I'm like Mr. Resilient. You see what I'm saying? And in my family, in my extended family, there was 5 deaths.
Ooh.
5 deaths. 2 family members, my extended family, so not my direct family, but my son's mother's family, right? Her grandmother passed away during COVID, and her uncle passed away during COVID. And on top of that, that shooting in Nova Scotia, one of her classmates got killed with 2 of her children. So within a 3.5-week period, there were 5 deaths that I had to be there to help grieve, you know, and still be resilient. But now we're getting the ripple effect. It's like the energy is like a dark cloud, even over me. Even though I'm trying to be Mr. Positivity, there's a dark cloud happening, and children internalize all this stuff. They're seeing. So even though you're positive, when you go in the room and you're making a call, you're lowering their voice. They know what's going on the COVID tip. You see what I'm saying? They know the family's in turmoil. They know there's certain things happening. But like I said, all things considering, we're doing a great job. You see what I'm saying? That's why like the family had to get away, just to get away and breathe, as opposed to being confined, right? And that's why it was really a blessing, Mike, Dan, to have that concert in Alberta, just so they could see me right there. That's showing that, you know, no matter what, we're going to come through this, and that resiliency is still going to be there. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's why I'm smiling, because backbone ain't sliding like it used to, but I still was nice. I still was nice on stage, right? I still was nice. You know what I mean?
I don't think the
And
song
there's so much.
like it used to. It just say "Let It Slide." Now.
But so that was a challenge right there. The challenge was, you know, trying to be positive for the fam. But what was great was just to see. I have an 11-year-old, man, but just to see his maturity. At one point, he said to me, like, "Dad, man, you're not okay." He said, "COVID-19 is not only affecting you, it's affecting me, it's affecting mom, it's affecting everybody's life." This is my 11-year-old. Like, listen to like the intellect, you know. Take a nap, Dad. Just go relax. He's hugging me, like, you know, Meanwhile, I know he want to go play Fortnite, but that's besides the point. Besides the point. But I'm showing you the maturity, brother, right? And then another thing that was hard was when they started reopening things haphazardly. So things are open, but such and such, right? So one weekend they said provincial parks are open. So I said, let's go to the Scarborough Bluffs. So we drove down the long and winding road to the Bluffs. But when you get down there, there's a police officer saying, it's open, but you can't park here. You got to go all the way back up and park and walk all the way back down. So that was frustrating for me because it's not like I wanted to see the bluffs per se, but I wanted my family to have a good time. And because I couldn't do that, that kind of got me angry, right? But then comes my son again saying, listen, we're family. This is all we got. He held my hand, he held his mom's hand, and he put our hands together, you know? And he said, listen, this is what hurt, man. He was like, Mom, take it easy on Dad. He's going through a hard time right now. And he started choking up. He goes, Dad may never do a show again. And he just started, bro, I had to like stop the car, hold this youth, because he was just letting out all of his emotions that he was concealing all this time. Hearing his mom complain about work, hearing me trying to front like it's all good. He is telling both of us we're not all good. And this is one thing I learned from a pastor. I did a webinar recently, and the brother said, nobody's 100% okay. Nobody. So just to have the young man hold my hand, hold his mom's hand, even though we were fighting at the time, and bring us together, he said, we are family. We're not going to let this get us, you know, break us apart. So that means one, yeah, we must have done a good job raising the youth, but that's the Most High. That's God injecting that spirit into him at that specific time for him to be the beacon of hope, for him to be that inspiration, right? To him to be that leader, to lead us to reinforce togetherness. So bad stuff, yeah, being on lockdown, the deaths, like I told you, but just to see how mature this young man was. Because even if he was a jerk, I still love him, right? Because he's bad. But just to see his maturity and just to see his resilience and to see him be the leader for the first time. He was the one when his mom and dad were down. He was the one bringing us together. And speaking of resiliency, in Ontario right now, this is the last week of school. Tomorrow's the last day of school for a lot of these kids. And what we learned and what their teachers have learned from them is resiliency. So I showed you the toughest parts with me, but I showed you the blessings. And the blessings are our children are stronger than we think. And we did a pretty good job so far with them.
You mentioned that dark cloud a little bit. I just want to maybe just remind you that that dark cloud produces rain, and rain produces renewal, right? Rain cleans the air, everything begins to grow again. So even when the dark cloud is there, know that there's going to be that better tomorrow. And it's so beautiful as well when it comes through our kids. And that's an example of our stewardship and the things that we've done. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I'm friends with, I don't know if you know Pastor Jamie Carrington, but she's a good friend of mine. And we spoke one day and she said something along the lines that you're saying. And that's, we could pray, but we can't dictate how God's going to answer our prayers.
Yes.
And it made me think, it made me start thinking. We could pray, if we can't dictate how he's going to answer, we also can't dictate when he's going to answer. Do you see what I'm saying? So you could have a prayer, or our ancestors or our forefathers could have a prayer 400 years ago, 100 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And now things are starting to come into fruition. Maybe that dark cloud is removing, and now it's time for renewal, as you're mentioning. You see what I'm saying? Because we can't dictate when he's going to start answering certain things, right? So that dark cloud you're mentioning, maybe that's what that is, where it's like, this is a time for renewal. You feel me? So by thinking it that realm, it's a good look.
So Maestro, let me ask you this. How old were you when you started or realized that hip hop was your thing and that's what you wanted to actually get into? Because I know you've been doing it for a long time. Like I said, you're dubbed the godfather of Canadian hip hop, and you paved the way for so many other artists. When did you realize that, hey, hip hop is my thing?
So I started rhyming when I was 11, but I think when I was maybe 18, that's when I knew this is it. 18, 19, There's no turning back.
Okay, so I think we're losing. You're
Pause.
losing.
Back after that point.
Okay, very good. So, was there any particular influence you had? Like, was there a certain artist that you kept your eye on that after watching them say, man, I want to be, I want to do this?
You name it. You name it. Didn't matter if it was Sugar Hill Gang, Rapper's Delight. It didn't matter if it was Curtis Blow. It didn't matter if it was Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5, Super Rhymes. It didn't matter. It didn't matter if it was Run DMC, LL Cool J. The list goes on. We've been here forever talking about influences, especially back Big Daddy Kane, KRS-One, Rakim. I just watched my brothers from New York, the tri-state area, do what they did. And I'm like, this is what I'm going to do too as well. I try to make it different and do me. And I did, but that's when I knew, like back in like 80, 81, 82, that's when I started seeing how infectious this was. But when I saw Eric B and Rakim, I ain't no joke. And I saw the video and I saw Rakim resemble me and I resemble him. I'm like, wow, this is like, yo, that's my brother right there. I even told him when I met him, I go, you see how we look alike? I don't know if he was laughing at me or laughing with me, but I made the God smile. I made him smile. You know what I mean? And he ain't no joke, but I made him smile. But that's 1986. That was around the time I'm like, wow, okay, this is for me, man, because I saw signs of development. Toronto showed me signs from like 82, 83, 84. Ron Nelson put me on the radio station CKLN 88.1 from 82. So I was already known in the city before I got my deal. My name used to be Melody MC. But then when I changed it to the Maestro Fresh, Backbone started sliding. It was a wrap from then, you know? And I got to thank Beat Factory, Mission Me, LA Love, Dream Warriors. Those were like my measuring sticks. Those were artists from the city too who were doing things as well. And I just knew this is what I was supposed to do. And I remember being on Much Music. I performed Let Your Backbone Slide for the very first time. Shout out to Stevie B, who just so happened to be visiting from the States. He saw me perform on a show called Electric Circus. And the rest is history.
Feeling like in 89,
right there.
When Backbone Slide, when that just became a hit, what did you have the feeling of, oh man, I've arrived, or man, this is my song? Like, what was that feeling like?
I have a slogan that I live with.
Okay.
It's don't make records, make history. Because anybody can make a record, but by making history is when you do something and you say something that resonates years and years and years later. So back then at 20 years old, I knew I wasn't making just a record. This was history. You see what I'm saying? So I didn't have that phrase back then, but that's what I was living. We knew this was something very, very serious. You know what I'm saying? And the response from that was overwhelming. The response was overwhelming. And it's the first single from a Canadian hip hop artist to ever go gold. And it changed the scene, man. It really changed the climate here in Canada. You know? But the feeling, okay, you'll appreciate this. We went to a club called Falcon's Nest, me and Farley Flex. This was when Backbone Slide just dropped. And we were just talking, we were hanging out, and all of a sudden, they played this Heavy D record. Heavy D Boys had a song called I Want Somebody to Love Me for Me. Heavy D was like the biggest artist at the time. So me and Farley are talking, you know, the club is in Scarborough, we're feeling good. All of a sudden, I'm looking at him and his eyes are open like this. So my thing is like, what's wrong with this dude? But now as I'm listening to the song, all of a sudden I hear a familiar song being blended in. When I want somebody to love me for me, right? Yes. And when we realized it was Let Your Backbone Slide, getting mixed in with the biggest artist at the time, we looked at each other and we just jumped around like we won the Grey Cup or something like that, bro. We jumped around the bro, fam. We jumped around. We jumped around that club, and people were just heads on the shoulders like we did it. We reached the destination because that was the first time for a Canadian hip hop record to be mixed in, and the first time that ever was in Scarborough, where we're from, and I'll never forget that day. I can't remember the first time I heard it on radio, but I'll never forget the first time I heard it in the club. Because that showed us it's like we're doing something. This wasn't a record. We're making history.
Is there a most memorable performance that you have?
My most memorable performance might be the Massey Hall Massacre. That happened in 2013. We murdered that stage. We murdered that stage. That was close, recently, like in the last few years. You like that, huh? You like that, right? The Massey Hall Massacre. But okay, back then though, like in the 80s, I can't remember. Maybe the 80s, my favorite show might have been Opening Up for Public Enemy or one of those. Something like that. Like My Hero, Something like that. Yeah. But we had some good time.
Back in the day, before you did Backbone Slide.
Say it again.
Did you have a go-to that you're saying at different concerts? What was that first song that you sang that was every time you sing it, it was gonna be banging and people would be getting up? Yes.
Drop the Needle. I had a song called Drop the Needle. And that was just hot, man. I still start my shows off with that, But I think the artist I liked the most back then in terms of giving me that energy was either Public Enemy or Big Daddy Kane. He had a song called Set It Off. Woo-wee! When I set it off, I'm like, we're going to set this off, And that was probably right there just to get me that spirit happening for me to do my thing,
Do you listen to anybody
Definitely.
to get before a performance?
Yeah.
You're dialed in.
No. Nah, I think before performance, I'm just in my own, just taking everything in, just taking everything in because I'm a student of hip hop, right? So I am, that's a part of my DNA. So I don't really listen to right before a show. I need to relax. You ever notice how Lennox Lewis goes into a ring before he fights? He takes his time. He walks in. It's like he's listening to some Bob Marley and he's just chilling, taking. And it used to bother me because I'm excited to watch this guy fight. And I'm like, why is he so, in his mind, later I learned, he said, bro, I got to do 12 to 15 rounds of this. Let me just listen to some cool out Bob Marley. Let me walk in and do my thing because I'm a gladiator right now. I can't exert too much energy right off the top. So I try to stay calm. I try to stay in my zone,
endurance,
and then I try to do what I do. It's like it's for me. You can't come out straight, nice just the first quarter,
Have you worked on anything
right?
new
So
in the last 4 months since you've been in quarantine? Have you worked on any new music, anything we should be looking forward to?
I've been working on stuff, but to be honest, it's hard for me to finish just because of the uncertainty and stuff like that. But I'll get back on the track. I got a couple songs that I'm working on that now that after I did that show, after I did that concert in Edmonton, I got backbones sliding again. You know what I'm saying? The way those people were honking, the cars were honking at me, gave me energy. I'm gonna start. Matter of fact, when I get off this, I got 3 more songs to write.
So
you know what I'm saying?
What is there something when you're writing? Is there something that you do? Is there a place that you go? How when you write, how do you find your sweet spot?
Well, Scarborough Bluffs is a good spot, but it's not a sweet spot anymore after what happened to me a few weeks ago. No, but I did a lot of writing at I do a lot of writing at the Bluffs throughout my It depends. I'm a concept driven artist. So a lot of times I come up with a concept and then the song writes itself, you know? So a lot of times that's how I kind of do it. I come up with an idea, and from that, the idea takes me to where I gotta be. Sometimes it's the music itself, the instrumental. But I'm a type of artist. I have a lot of concepts in the back of my head. So when I hear the right rhythm, I'm like, you know what? This could work for that. You know what? This could work for this. You see what I'm saying? So I come up with a concept first. So like me being the Maestro Fresh Wes, my first album was called Symphony in Effect because I'm a concept driven dude. The first song was Drop the Needle, but the first thing you hear is Beethoven's Fifth. That was the introduction to the Maestro Fresh Wes. You see what I'm saying? Me being a concept driven artist. The Black Tuxedo, that was a whole part of the concept. You feel me? The last song on the album was a song called Fortissimo, which a lot of people might not know, but people involved in music know it means very loud. And the symbol for that is FF. So Fortissimo was the way I wanted to end. So start off with Beethoven's Fifth, and it ended with something saying we're playing this very loud. So I'm the maestro. My second album was called The Black Tie Affair, and black symbolized us as a people, as a community, and tie symbolized the unity of our community. So that's why I had so many artists on that second album. A lot of people, the first time making records was on that Black Tie Affair album. So that being said, me being a concept-driven artist, I'll come up with that, and then the music comes afterwards. You know, the mad will always rhyme with glad, no matter what. But the concept and that right there, put that in the front.
That's cool.
And then you
last
take it
week
then
we
build
had
on that. You know?
Rock Bass on. We had Cardinal on. We've had Carl Wolf, a lot of different artists. And we love to ask that question about collaborations. Is there anyone that you would love to collaborate with that you haven't collaborated with yet? And who has been one of your top collaborators that you have collaborated with?
One of them you mentioned, Cardinal's like my favorite MC out of Toronto. We've done some songs together before. That's like my younger brother right there. I'm very proud of what he's done on the mic, off the mic. Rob Bass, we've done shows together. It Takes Two was out. Let Your Backbone Slide came out like not too long after that. So we do a lot of old school concerts. You know, matter of fact, recently last summer it was me, Rob Bass, and Vanilla Ice. You know what I'm saying? And that was dope. So a lot of times they pair up when we do stuff. Yeah. So you had Vanilla Ice and Chocolate Mice. You know, it was dope. We had a great time hanging out. And Rob Van Winkle is a good dude. But so me and Rob have collaborated. Recently too, in Calgary a year ago, I did a show with, watch this, Julie Black, Classified, and Carl Wolf. Carl Wolf was in a leg cast. Carl Wolf was in a leg cast.
Yes.
This was for Motion Ball, Special Olympics. I'm like, what happened to you? He was telling us all kinds of stuff. But right before the show, he took off that leg cast and he made us all look bad. Because I don't know where he got that energy from to perform on that high level. So salute to my man, Carl Wolf, because we were all good. Julie Black was good as usual. Classified was good as usual. I think I was pretty good too. But Carl Wolf's energy took the cake. And I just remember that was the guy with the leg cast, you know? So I've collaborated with a lot of different artists in different ways, you know? But if there was an artist I collaborate with that I haven't, I don't know, man. I've worked with a lot of people. I probably want to do something with Drake on a film and TV tip. Let's do a movie or something. You see what I'm saying? Because when I was doing Instant Star, that was a TV show I was on, he was doing Degrassi at the time. And we had the same dressing room. So my character's name on Instant Star was Darius. His name on Degrassi was Jimmy. But we had the same dressing room. So I'd be leaving, they'd be swapping my name tag. He'd be coming in, they'd be putting his name tag in. And we'd be like, hey, how you doing, homie? You know, so I think that would be kind of cool to do something like that on a film and TV tip.
I wanted to ask you,
definitely, I think that'd be cool.
Sort of preparation for a concert versus a role. right? What's the difference in your mindset, and like how do you prepare, the difference in preparing for those two different specialties? No, no,
So
more
you
in
saying
a
a role that I
role
already
you
had or an
had
On a
audition?
show,
in a show. Yeah.
TV, movie.
Because I've been doing music so as long as I have a sound check, I'm ready to go, right? And that it's more organic. Because film and TV, you're dealing with a lot of other people, and it's not your script that you wrote. Like I wrote all my rhymes, right? I wrote that script. But when you do a script as an actor, you're submitting to the character. You see what I'm saying? It's not about you anymore. It's about that character, how he interacts with other characters. So that comes with a different type of preparation. You got to know your stuff, but you got to know somebody else's stuff too. You see what I'm saying? And then there's different genres. It could be a sitcom, Mr. D, which is more comedic, or it could be a series that's more dramatic. You see what I'm saying? Either way, you got to submit to the character and you got to prepare. But because with music, it's normally my songs. As long as I rehearse, and even if it's brand new stuff, I'll know it because I wrote it and it's me. It's an easier, less preparation I'll need. But what did I learn from hip hop? I learned the importance of repetition and the importance of preparation. So those were my transferable skills that I brought into the world of thespian artistry. That's what I implemented. So I still get nervous to do auditions, but once I get that part, I know how to rehearse it. I know how to prepare. It's just getting that audition. And I'm gonna share something with you. When you get a script, you look at that script and you say to yourself, how can I make this script come to life? So when I auditioned for Mr. D, I play a school teacher. I said, okay. So I started going back and thinking of all the cool teachers I knew. And I used to go to a high school called Senator O'Connor, which is Victoria Park in Ellesmere. And a lot of the students I went to school with, they graduated, went to teachers college, came back and became teachers at the school. So I remember visiting, and one of my friends was a brother by the name of John Machoki, who was a student at the same time. He graduated and became a teacher at O'Connor. So when I went to visit him, his students were like, yo, Machoki, what's up? So I said to him, bro, is that how your students talk to you? He said, yeah, I'm the coolest teacher in the world. So then when I got the audition for Mr. D, playing a school teacher, I said to myself, all I got to do is just pretend that I'm John Machoki, and maybe I'll get that part. So, I went into the audition. I got a callback. A callback means they like you, but they're not too sure yet. Guess who comes into the audition? Jerry D. He's happy to meet me. He says, throw your script away. Let's see if you have improv. So now, I don't know how you feel when you get nervous before a kickoff return, but I get a throbbing feel in the back of my neck, like boom, 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 boom. The adrenaline starts running. You know what I'm saying? I feel like people are coming at me. I got to dip and dodge. I got to do something. I get nervous, right? So I did the audition, and Jerry D said, man, that was awesome. I said, thank you. He said, by the way, what high school did you go to? I said, I went to a school called Senator O'Connor. He said, wow. I said, wow, what? He said, I got a friend by the name of John Machoki who I wrote this script about. So that planet Earth has 7.5 billion people on it. But the one person I used as my point of reference for my audition to play a school teacher just so happened to be the same guy that the script Mr. D was about. Is that a fluke? Is that a coincidence? No, it was meant to happen because why? I was ready.
That is beautiful.
I was ready.
I really love the fact that as an entertainer, your original, right? And when you're up on stage, you're more comfortable being on stage, even though it's live, than something you would actually tape, right? And so when you're in your zone, right? Because as much as acting, you have to learn your script, you have to do it, and it's somebody else's. You can also do it over, right? But you're more comfortable doing your music live than you are that, even though you have that Achilles, that little blanket, that little safety blanket, if you That's amazing. That's awesome. You
Ask you a question though. Watch this. Watch the similarities between sports and music, live music. When that ball is coming at you, you got 12 men running at you. Yeah, you know you're confident. You have your team ready to block for you. But that ball is coming. You got to zone out for everything, and you got to prepare for that, catch that, and then it's muscle memory. And even though you're prepared, somebody's at your left. I didn't practice that last week. No, this Hamilton Ticats, they're coming. What? Then I got to dip over there. You see what I'm saying? And you love it because that's improvisation. You see what I'm saying? Yes. They don't call you pinball Clemens for nothing.
I just tried to go where they weren't.
So rapper, record producer. I said rapper, record producer, author, actor. Out of all those things, is there anything else on your list? Is there anything else you would like to accomplish?
Probably just, this is the 10-year anniversary of my book, Stick to Your Vision. So I'm working on the next one called Stick to Your Vision for Young Athletes. Yeah. It's a 10-year anniversary. I read your book too, by the way. So, just so you know, but
that's beautiful.
The next one I'm trying to make for young athletes. So a second book. Also, I've been supporting character in a lot of my shows. I don't know if you know, I was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in a Dramatic Role for a series at an HBO. I want to do more like leads and stuff like that, create my own story, write my own stories and stuff like that. I think that's the next level. That's an organic level for me. Music, yeah, I'll always continue doing music, man, but doing more film and TV is something else. And Diane, something else I wanted to add too, I do a lot of presentations, man, as well. I do a lot of presentations through, I did 4 at McMaster right before the craziness happened. Elementary schools, what have you. So probably more of those as well. But what I do realize is people have a preconceived notion of me. And no matter how successful I'm in other things, I'm that rapper, dapper, snapper guy. Do you see what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter how, this book is a part of a school curriculum. It's mandatory learning in the province of Nova Scotia. I recently I got an honorary diploma from the Nova Scotia Community College based on my book and how it impacted the community. Acting, I've told you what I've done, but people overlook the fact because I've been so successful musically. And even me, sometimes I have to be honest and I forget about a lot of awesome things I've done too, because I know people's focus is, and my focus too is what they know of me, right? But I wanted to share this with you because it's very important. I did a presentation, a huge presentation a couple years ago, and I was the only Black presenter. It was about 6 other presenters, but the only other Black person there was the person who was the MC of the event. Beautiful sister. So the presentation was on a Sunday, but we met for the meet and greet on the Friday. So that's where we're meeting all the presenters and we're shaking hands, what have you. And she pulled me aside and said, you know what? Can I talk to you privately? Because I have some ideas of how I want to introduce you. I go, sure, no problem. So we had a little private meeting. And the first thing she said to me, well, when I wanted to introduce you, well, there's the obvious way. And in my mind, I didn't know what she meant by the obvious way, but I wanted to hear what she had to say. And she said to me, how about you come out dancing and I do a dance too, and I bring you on stage. And I said to her, this is a big event we have right here. We're the only 2 Black people here at this specific event. If I was Mikhail Baryshnikov or something like that, then I could understand maybe you, what have you. But I said, listen, I represent you, so I got to be good. You represent me, so you got to be good too. We represent each other. We're the only two black people here. Is this the way you want to bring your brother on stage? She thought about it. She put her head down. And I said, no, we're here for greatness. And when people look at us, they got to know we're here for great things. We were descended of greatness. This ain't monkey business. Like I said, if I was a dancer or something coming out, but you know very well, you did research on all your other presenters. What makes you feel that that's the way I should do that? And I realized at the time she felt embarrassed. She felt a little ashamed, although I was educating her. But I saw how she felt, so I put my arm around her and I said, you know what? After this is all done, there's an after party. And we could dance after that. How's that sound? Right? And she started smiling, because if you're gonna strip somebody down, at least let them keep their drawers on, right? At least let them have some type of what happened. But she got schooled right there, and she learned this ain't monkey business. Understand? People have a low expectation of a black man. Understand what I'm saying? If I'm here, I'm gonna smash this stage. Understand? I'm gonna do, this is what it is. So when you see me, even though we represent each other, for something within your psyche, your preconceived notion of me, you thought that would have been cool. No, I got to look good for you. You got to look good for me. We represent each other. You see what I'm saying? And it was a beautiful, beautiful presentation. And she learned a lot. And it was reinforced to me that even within our own community, there's low expectations of us at certain times based on the fact that I'm a hip hop artist. So it doesn't matter how successful I am with my book. Doesn't matter how successful I am with as an actor. There's a lot of things that I still have to remind people that I'm doing, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that because I've gotten used to that. You've made a great transition from being a player to a coach. You see what I'm saying? That was a transition you had to make, and you made it. And then there's more obstacles for you along the way, because extraordinary people will always have extraordinary challenges. And it's not the dog in the fight.
That is exactly
right.
right.
The dog.
And
you know what I'm saying?
And we can learn from anybody, right? And it's important to take that time, and when we do it the right way, when we pull people off to the side and talk to them and give that instruction. I've received some really valid information, some really good information to people who maybe weren't as knowledgeable as I was, or didn't have the same, status or job that I did, right? So it goes both ways, right? If we're listening, we can learn.
I mean, like that quote that you said, that was like 2003 when I heard you say that. That's in my memory bank, because I respect my elders, man. I respect people who've done certain things, and I write things down, and then I'll come back. And you probably can't remember when you said that was at a Harry Jerome Award, and I just like the way you said what you said, and I'm like, I'm going to incorporate my life. I'm going to implement that quote as a part of my life. So you've been a major inspiration to me, and I want you to know that. So like, I don't do too many interviews, but when you call, it had to be the right time. I wanted to wait until I did my first concert, because I want to be able to talk about what it was like to do that and let people know and listen, to be like, this is what I experienced. You see what I'm saying? And this is the new challenge we're going to have. And I just wanted to
Now,
wait for the right time,
I know
which
we
is
have
today.
about 10 minutes left, but I do want to ask, because you were just talking about Black men and being great, and what is your thought on what's happening right now in the U.S. and in Canada with our Black men, not just Black men, Black women as well, but what is your take on the racism that's being pulled to the fore this time?
Okay, so because you mentioned the word race, we have to give land acknowledgement to the First Nation community of Canada. All right. This is, I don't know if it's called Indigenous Month or Indigenous Week, but without mentioning or acknowledging the First Nation, the Indigenous community here in Canada, and bypassing that and going straight to being seduced with what's going on in America, that within itself is what they say systemic racism. Do you see what I'm saying? We're here in Canada, right? And the first thing we should do is acknowledge what's going on here with our people. That's the first thing, right? But I feel that that's what we have to do. I feel that that's the U.S. climate over there. Racism has always existed, right? But what I tell people, re-examine everything that you've been told. Re-examine everything, you know? Ask questions. Don't just fall for the okie doke. Ask questions, because this is a time where people are playing on their emotions. I just saw an old video clip that I spoke at, again, Mike, where I take notes from elders. It was with Zanena Akande. And she said that, I'm trying to get that quote. She said, efforts have been made to control our stories. Effective efforts have been made to control our stories, right? And it made me start thinking, somebody can say whatever, but if we don't really, you know, think about that and question, we're going to be in a lot of trouble, you know, because racism was always here, you know. This book, the first quote in my book, I went back and I read, it said, re-examine everything that you've been told. And once you do that and ask questions, right, it's a whole different dynamic. And another thing too, I remember what Pastor Jamie told me, we could pray, but we can't dictate how things are being answered. So when you ask about the Black community right now, maybe prayers are being answered right now with us not even knowing. And another thing too, when it comes to entry points, someone's entry point of social or cultural awareness could be right now. I'm 52 years old. I was born in Toronto, raised in Toronto. I know what it is for racism in the 70s here. Trust me. I know what it is for racism in the 80s, 90s too. You see what I'm saying? But imagine a young millennial coming up now. This is their entry point. So we got to give them a chance to listen. And that's one of the things that I really stressed for Father's Day weekend. I encourage men, if you consider the OG, it doesn't got to be your biological son, but pull a young brother aside. And instead of us doing the most of the talking, let's do most of the listening, because their entry point is different than ours. And social engineering has been going on from time. But their story, because of their entry point, because of their age, when it comes to cultural awareness, is going to be different. So we got to humble ourselves and listen. Let the youth tell us what they're going through. When they're showing us what they're going through, now we could tell them what we know. And now we're bridging that gap. Because the devil wants division among the people of God, B. Understand? We got to come together. I'm not talking about black or white. I'm talking about this social distance and stuff like this. This is for everybody. But because of technology like this, we can unite and we can correspond, just like we're doing right now. You see what I'm saying? And because of that, we're not divided. We're united. And because of the gap differences in age and in different generations, by communicating, by listening, we can hear what they're saying. They can hear what we're saying, and we can come together. So that's my thing right there. With all this, we have an opportunity to listen to what these the young men and women are coming through, what they're going through, because it's a different thing. I was born in 1968, so I still felt the ripple effect of the civil rights movement. You feel what I'm saying? This is 2020. A lot of people, this is their first real global impact with something called black racism on this level. I'm not talking about an everyday thing, but I'm talking for it being sensationalized, not even sensationalized, but magnified the way it is right now. Me, you mentioned to me earlier, Dan, that I'm the godfather of Canadian hip hop. And I said, I'd rather be that than the grandfather, right? But another thing that I want to mention, because of me, the Junos implemented a brand new category called the Best Rap Category Award, where I was the first recipient. But also, every major label started developing black music departments, but they never called it black music department. They called it urban, because my potency has been diluted because people have a hard time accepting the fact what was created. Do you see what I'm saying? This is black music. So I open the doors. I'm boldly saying this to you, and I don't think I've ever said this on an interview before, but I'm boldly saying I'm the reason why there's black music departments at every single major label in Canada. But by removing the word black and calling it urban is very similar to removing the facial features of the Egyptian Sphinx. So you don't know where it originated from. You're diluting the potency, right? So this is why the younger generation, they gotta come. We gotta hear them speak, then they gotta hear us speak. Because I'm from the era of the physical. This is physical. This could have been a CD, right? It's a book. This is the era of the digital. What can they do in the era of the digital? Our information and our history could be wiped out like that. You see what I'm saying? By a push of a button. You see what I'm saying? But while we're here, we have to connect like this, because this memory and this unity we're having right now, no one can take away from us, because we're connecting right now at 6:50 tonight. You see what I'm saying? So this is what we have to do with the young kids coming up. We got to listen to them. They got to listen to us, and we bridge that gap and come together, because it ain't the dog in the fight.
Well said.
It's the fight of the dog.
What, 3 minutes left?
I think I might have Rocket on there. Yes, Rocket. Yes. Yeah. You remember? Yes.
So we have like 3 minutes left. Do you have any closing remarks? Then give the closing remarks today.
All right. I'm going to maybe just ask Maestro if you would give a few words for our young people first.
We've got 2 minutes.
To my young people out there, from an artist perspective, let's not assimilate. Let's innovate. Anyone can assimilate trying to be like someone. I want to see leaders out there. Let's build leaders. We don't want to be followers. And I want you to question your lead. Ask your leaders, are they worthy to be your leader, right? Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. That's the only way we could grow. We sharpen each other like steel sharpens steel. And this is one of my first interviews I've done in a while.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Fantastic.
Definitely.
Yes, just amazing. And I want to give a quick shout because Rocket Ismail is just sent through. He's actually watching right now. And Rocket now. And
yo, Rocket. Yo, where's my Rocket? Hold on. I got my Rocket jersey. Hold on. Let me see if I can find my Rocket.
I want to send a shout out to
Hey, Rocket, we miss you.
That was when Rocket came here, right? They wanted everybody wanted to make me mad because he was getting paid more money. And I said, no, that's my brother, and he's going to help me make more money. And
there it is.
And he did that. And so Ragib, man, we love you.
Yo, Rocket, I love you. But yo, this is my Conrad Holloway.
All right.
I'm so good.
Yeah.
You know I support you guys, man. You know I'm Toronto. You know I'm gonna be
right. Good.
For your art.
Awesome. We hope to have you on again, man. Stay safe, and let us know when you're doing another show so we can support.
And because both you and Rocket are such great educators and really are into training people's minds, I want to close with this. You may not be what you think you are, but what you think you are. So train your mind.
I got another quote from you now, you see?
All right, so much love, okay?
Thank
you so much for this.
I love you.
You were amazing,
as
always.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Next week at the New Normal,
same time.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see you then. In the meantime, be safe, wear your mask. Take care.
All right.
Bye, guys. We hope you check us out next week. Stay safe, okay? And Ragib, so good to hear from you, my friend. Tell the family we said hi.
Oh.
Hi, Nicole.
Nicole.
Bye, everybody.
Mr. Novak.
William.
Rubino.
Yes.
All right, William. Yes.
Take care.
Bye to you too, Novak. 07. We got you.
All right, guys.
Thank you.